welcome back. We'll be doing 8 games. Starter weapons. Insanely overpowered.
I feel like I'm Kermit, when he gets frustrated. Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown jewels of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes you the person who has a really unfortunate ingrowing hair on the side of their head. Seriously God, at this point you're taking the piss a little bit. How can you not give me any hair but still give me ingrowing ones? Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week. And this week we have none other to thank than Sebastian Thomas for their suggestion of video game starter weapons that are ludicrously, offensively overpowered. Because you see, in this day and age, legendary and uber powerful weapons in video games, well, they're kind of 10 a penny. I mean, you can look to any of the looter-shooter titles like Destiny and Borderlands and the sheer amount of so-called legendary weapons that rain down on you from defeated bosses, and it comes to somewhat resemble a golden shower itself. But let's not talk about them today. Instead, we're going to talk about the starter weapons, the games that just said, you know what, why even wait until the late game to have some fun? Here's a rocket-powered, foot launcher, and when it comes out, it kicks the enemies in the face and it's got explosive steel-capped toenails. I've just come up with a new one for Borderlands 4. Bet it will be in there. Anyway, with this in mind, I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video game starter weapons that were incredibly overpowered. Oh, and you know the drill by now. Say hi to me here in the live chat and also drop your suggestions for next week's episode down in the comments section below. And with that, let's get on with this list. Number 8, the Magnum Halo Combat Evolved. Whoa! Me oh my, we are not messing around here, are we? Number 8, and we're starting with the Magnum from Halo, or Halo Combat Evolved, however you want to call it.
Oh my God.
Now, the Magnum sidearm that Master Chief begins the original Halo with is so comically overpowered that it became something of an overnight meme, way back before the internet was capable of such highbrow comedy. Beginning life actually as an error during programming, Bungie fell in love with the stopping power of this almighty Magnum, and instead of toning it down for the final game, just said to themselves, you know what, we're bloody mad lads, let's just leave it as is, they'll have so much fun. And you know what? Yes, mate. Yes, we bloody well did. Being able to pick off enemies with pinpoint precision with a bullet that feels like it belongs in a Space Marines heavy bolter was an absolute blast, and the gun became such a useful tool thanks to the 2x magnification scope that many multiplayer matches were also dominated by this Desert Eagle adjacent showpiece. Now, it was ludicrously broken in the grand scheme of things, but Bungie proved above all else that when it comes down to the crunch, sometimes all of the numbers and balancing, that's just not fun, and this most definitely was. Number 7, the Big Daddy Drill, BioShock 2. Now, a lot of you might be expecting me to put the wrench from BioShock 1 on this list of starter weapons that pack a punch, and while that would be a very good choice, there are actually 2 reasons that I think that the Big Daddy Drill from BioShock 2 just etches out the competition. Firstly, the wrench, while offering an absurdly whomping amount of damage, usually only did so when it was in conjunction with other perks, plasmids, and tonics. Now, it's true that the shock jockey combo of lightning and then lamping is enough to knock even high-powered foes to the floor, but it really speaks to the value of the plasmid as much as it does the old pipe tightener. And the second reason is that wielding the drill as Delta in BioShock 2 is just, well, ludicrously fun. While the wrench rewarded you for sneaking and swiping more than a desperate fella on Tinder, the drill forced you to get up close and personal with your enemy as much as possible. And indeed, when you unlocked the drill dash ability, it became an absolute laugh riot that was pretty much always in your favor. It was like a guy on the other side just kind of like, I don't like you, and you're just like, what? Whee! Right in the chest. See you later, mate. No dinner for you because you have what doctors have stated to be medically deboned. Now, the drill might need some juice to get going, but my lord, there is no stopping you once this motor starts running. In fact, so ludicrously high-powered and high-pumping is this drill of the Big Daddy that we're going to use it today for today's musical interlude. James and Jazz, my beautiful duo, how are you settling into your new house?
Yeah.
And you know what time it is, kids. It's time for, what was the name of the bloody... Because it's that time to enter the very exclusive dance hall that is 20 leagues below. Yes, that's right. It's MC Gilly or whatever it is name I came up with. It's time for another rave. Let's get it on.
Big box, little box, send you home in a cardboard box. Get in, soggy in the noggy while I'm getting
I hope this is not gonna get me copyrighted.
in killy with the drilly.
Number 6, the starter Pokemon, the Pokemon franchise. Right, so while definitely listing Pokemon as a weapon is the sort of thing that would get Peter's lawyers salivating at the prospect of suing Game Freak, we have to admit something. When it comes to damage dealing, leveling up, and indeed being used as a show of force, the Pokemon are indeed, or could be, classified as weapons. But it's a very loose definition. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. Peter, calm down. In fact, the only thing that hits harder than these little pocket monsters is when Ash was turned to stone in the first movie. I'm not crying. You're crying. And when it comes to the myriad of monsters at your disposal, while you can select from flying lightning birds, psychic spoon benders, and of course, some eggs, many would-be trainers have at least one spot etched out for their first starter Pokemon as, if we're being honest, they can become horrendously overpowered. Not only will your little buddy usually end up being the strongest due to getting a beefy dose of EXP during your quest, but most of the time will evolve into something that looks like it could take on Godzilla in a kaiju battle to end all kaiju battles. Quick question, in fact, actually, let's spark off a new segment of the show. Let's ask James.
Ask me anything.
James, Pokemon fan? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What was your favourite starter Pokemon? Who did you choose, Jazz? Same question to you, but with your name instead of James's.
I'd probably say Torchic going into Blaziken.
Blue-eyed dragon.
That's not even the right game, Jazz.
Let's ask James.
I was always a Squirtle boy, by the way. There was something about a big bold head and a shell to hide all your emotions within. Kind of spoke to me, didn't it? All right, anyway. Gen 1 was particularly nasty on this front because it was just so utterly broken. Because players who chose Squirtle could douse the hopes of gym leaders and spank them with their vines should they choose Bulbasaur. Even Charmander, who struggles slightly against the first two gyms, utterly wrecked shop when it evolved, and come the late game would be setting the entire world on fire as a buffed up Charizard. There was literally no bad choice in the bunch, and barely anyone who'd be able to actually stop you. Although, if we're being honest right now, as much as these monsters do appeal to us, we're all Pokemon fans at the end of the day, but we all know if we're going to take a cute, cuddly ball of something into battle with us, then you've got to take the almighty. You've got to go here. I mean, like, this is the thing. Like, Squirtle's there with his little hydro pump cannons things. Not going to be much against the holy wrath of an entire god, is it? I'm just saying, if you want to pray to Pokemon, fine. There's a real bad boy up there. He's the pocket monster that you've always wanted inside, isn't it? Send your kisses. Send your kisses. Get out. Get out. Number 5, the Silenced Silver Ballers, the Hitman franchise. Now, I'll always have a soft spot, like an unclosed fontanelle, for the Hitman franchise, mainly because of the fact that they are brilliant examples of player choice. They let you design and come up with very, very Machiavellian styles of killing people throughout all of the different games. And also, you get to play as the most angriest egg ever. I mean, the guy looks like he's come out of a Borlo shine with the expression to match. He is not happy about this, and it is your problem. Also, it's very strange as well that it's a franchise that's built itself around you sort of swerving and sneaking your way through to targets, and yet you look like the most suspicious man possible. Like, I would immediately say that's the guy. That's the guy there. I mean, it's egg on egg violence. We don't like that, but still, I'd be like, that's him. And then he'd probably kill me, to be fair. That's probably why people don't do it. They can immediately just go like, I'm not even going to mess with him. He's walked in a clown suit. What is that saying? It's like flopping your donger on the table and just being, and what? Footlong meat sub. Right, anyway, completely off topic here. Regardless, as any hitman worth their salt will tell you, while suits and indeed suave will get you to your desired location, when it comes to actually pulling the trigger, you better make sure that your shot is on target and is indeed powerful enough to plant your prey into the ground. Well, that's something of no worry to anyone who's handled a pair of silver ballers, because these guns are quite literally the best in the entire game, and you bloody start with them. Sleekly designed and rocking a lovely silencer apiece, the Silver Ballers are Agent 47's signature weapon for a reason, as with their rate of fire, accuracy and stopping power, you could easily clear a room without breaking a sweat. What I love about these guns is that even if hits the fan, the bodies are going to hit the floor before anyone even notices. More of a laser gun effect there, but you got what I meant. Sure, it's no dropping a toilet on someone or impaling them with a replica tower, but the Ballers are quite literally that. Absolutely baller. Number 4, the Gnasher. Gears of War. When it comes to picking an overpowered weapon from the Gears of War franchise, things can start feeling a bit like that scene in The Matrix when the gun racks just appear, because at the end of the day, you can pick from
Make sure everything's going well. I would hate something to go wrong. My last.
any of them and say, yeah, that's particularly nasty. I mean, you've got that laser pointer of death, the hammer of dawn, you've got the torque bow, which just seems brutally medievally evil, but then you've got things like the basic equipment that you're loaded up with, like the Lancer and indeed the Gnasher. Now, if we're talking about the Lancer in practical terms, it's a bit piddly when you start firing at people. It does seem that it takes like nearly an entire clip to down somebody, but it does have that little teeny tiny extra of having a bloody chainsaw underneath it, which most definitely helps in a pinch. But the Gnasher, well, that is the real star of the show. And if you're wondering why this horror show of a shotgun got the name Gnasher, you need only look at the teeth that were ground into dust upon being killed with a weapon that had the stopping power of a freight train, an utterly offensive range, and enough of a spread to clip enemies no matter where they were. Also, if you were the one on the other side pulling the trigger at people, you were going to end up laughing like Gnasher from the Beano cartoons, aka Dennis the Menace's dog. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you didn't have the same childhood that I did. The Beano. Bring back the Beano. Bring back this. It's a celebration. Beano celebration. James, you for this? That was Gnasher. You remember that? Cool. You're too young to remember, aren't you, mate? Number 3, the Smart Pistol, Titanfall. Hey kid, do you like your shooting games? I mean, yes, I'm 13, so therefore, of course I do. Are you tired of missing all of those shots thanks to pesky people just moving around and not staying still? Oh boy, howdy, am I very upset about this. So annoyed I am that I will go on Reddit and complain about it for hours and hours with all my weird friends. Yes, in short. Well, have I got the gun for you, because with the Smart Pistol from Titanfall, you don't even need to aim. Wait a minute, you're telling me that you've got a gun where I don't even need to aim in order to kill people, and you're telling me it's not a Call of Duty hitbox issue? Sign me up, mate. That's right, my friend. In a move that seems like it would have come from a Rick and Morty fake TV advert, the Smart Pistol was great at making your enemies look incredibly dumb by riddling them with bullets after you've locked onto their position. Parkour was not going to save you this time, mate, as this incredibly useful weapon not only had a mean fire rate, but offered surprising stopping power even when not in full lazy mode. Now, some Titanfall purists are going to leap to its defense and say, well, actually, the Smart Pistol did actually require some skill to use, as you did have to lock on to the enemy for a few seconds before firing. But you know what? That defense holds up about as well as a bloody Japanese screen door in a hurricane, my friend, because, lest we not forget, this could fire f***ing bullets around corners. Checkmate. Number 2, the heavy pistol Saints Row 4. Now here's the thing, as we've covered with Halo and just now in Titanfall, sometimes a sidearm can become a truly trusted side man when it comes to downing your enemies, because in the case of Halo's Magnum, it had the amazing range, the scope, the stopping power, and again, the Titanfall one, you didn't really need to aim, but you know what, the heavy pistol from Saints Row 4 doesn't need any of these high-tech gadgetries or weird things like that. It has something much more deadly. It fires explosive rounds, and it does so very quickly with infinite ammo. Oh, and also the gun can be dual-wielded. I'm sorry, what? Who poured an entire case of Buckfast Abbey tonic wine on this game? Because this has just turned the experience into a drunken mess. No starter weapon should offer this level of destructive power, as it utterly humiliates even late-game rifles and indeed machine guns. The explosive effect alone renders this hand cannon as a rude, crude death delivery dude. But the fact that it can be dual-wielded and can never run out of ammo makes you into a whirling dervish of destruction. Which, when you think about it, in all fairness, is what Saints Row is most definitely about. And number 1, the very sharp dagger, Stonekeep. After all of the awesome weaponry that we've just covered, of all of the deadly drills and the smartest of pistols, you probably wouldn't expect to see the number 1 spot go to a dagger. But wait, my friend, that's because this is no ordinary dagger. It's a very sharp one. Take that. Huzzah. It's very sharp. I don't know why this makes it, but it's so funny to me that somebody's just kind of like, okay, in some versions of the game, we're going to call this the Dagger of Piercing. But in some versions of Stonekeep, it just comes up as a very sharp dagger. Very sharp. Very sharp. All joking aside, this dagger is a weapon that players can find in the opening level of Stonekeep, a first-person dungeon crawler which is so bloody hard in places that I swear the code is made of granite. Enemies, traps, and little teeny tiny things like having no armor or weapons at the start of the game will likely see your time with this title be incredibly short unless you know what you're doing. And so while the dagger technically isn't a starting weapon as it isn't in your inventory straight away, it is pretty much mandatory to get as soon as you boot things up. You'll have a hard time finding it without a guide though, as the dagger is hidden in a wall of the first catacombs area, which can only be opened by pulling a lever twice and then finding another hidden switch. Still, it is definitely worth the effort as this weapon will utterly carry you through the opening sections of this title. And yes, I am stretching the definition of overpowered here a little bit because at the end of the day it is still just a dagger, albeit a very sharp one, but then you have to remember that you start the game otherwise with just your fists, which do not do that much against giant ants. Believe me, I've tried. See, there's nothing. There's nothing. I'm covered in ants now. I'm just covered in ants. Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying. See you later. I died as I lived. Covered in ants. Whew, and there we are, my friends. Another episode of Choose Your Own Adventure. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as your suggestions for next week's episode.
I enjoyed this one.
Blast filming this one, and if you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can follow me over on Twitch at Live and Let's Dice, where I'll be doing all my streaming outside of work, and it'd be great to see you over there, working through Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance at the moment, as well as some Guitaru Man as well, so it's all fun and games, quite literally indeed. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. One of the best starting weapons that we all have access to, but sometimes often ignore, is our brain. My friends, I know that sometimes it can be easy to be cruel on yourself, to be hard on mistakes that you've made in the past, but trust me, if you can forgive yourself to move on from those moments, if you can treat yourself with love and respect, then you will go on to live a healthy and happy life. And at the end of the day, that is all I want for you. So treat yourself with love and respect, be kind to those around you, and they will show kindness to you, and just go out there with love in your hearts, because
yeah, sometimes they're a waste of time. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know I did. I'll see you guys in the next one. You know? Yep. Let me know what you guys would think of if you guys have any other games that have overpowered weapons at the start, and or what your favorite of the bunch was. I know Josh is probably going to say the Magnum and Halo, obviously, who watches this. Well, other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.